To our meeting of the Town Commission of the Town of Highland Beach. Today is Tuesday, September 2nd, and it is now 1:30, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. If we could have the roll call, please.
Commissioner Chernowski,
Present.
Commissioner Peters,
Present.
Vice Mayor Stern,
Present.
Mayor Moore,
Present.
and Commissioner Judith Goldberg is absent. Town Manager Labadie,
Present.
Town Attorney Rubin.
Present.
If we could all rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any changes to the agenda? If there are none, could we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next item, presentations, proclamations, EPOC Blood Analysis System presentation.
Commissioners, Morning, Mayor, Commissioners, Manager, Attorney. Tom McCarthy, Assistant Fire Chief Operations, Highland Beach Fire Rescue, and we're here to do a brief presentation on the EPOC Blood Analysis System. Primary benefit of being able to have these EPOC blood analysis systems on our rescue trucks is because of what the name stands for, Emergency Point of Care. So it gives us the ability to bring these devices on calls with us. They're basically the size of a tap and go credit card reader at your table side in the restaurant. And within 3.5 minutes, it'll give us a pretty good metabolic profile, blood gas profile of what's going on with the patient. We have a population here in town that does have a lot of medicines that are on board. And so this really helps us have an opportunity to do a pretty good drill down. Even if it's not actionable with us while we're in the streets, it is definitely good intel for the hospital to have when we get the patient there. So this photo here shows us getting the actually direct contact training from the folks at Siemens, the manufacturers of the device. And you'll see that we actually took opportunities to do our own in-house qualifications on blood draws, actually using devices, because we do own 2 of them, and we're able to get pretty good accurate readings on the devices. So as I stated on the first slide, the benefits for sure is bringing the device on scene with us, real-time diagnostic information. The goal is for improved patient outcomes, right? Every time we roll the wheels, that's always what we're looking for. I can guarantee you that our agency, both the firefighter, paramedics down below, and your fire administration is always looking at what's the next best thing that we can do to provide the highest level of service to the community.
Great. Excellent. Any comments or questions?
My only comment is that how proud we are to have this happen in our community. I think
Absolutely.
it's just outstanding, and I'm sure the Coastal Star will cover this deeply. It's just a wonderful opportunity for us, but thank you very, very much.
It truly is our pleasure.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you there. Now, the information, you can print this out or this goes to where's it gets stored, I guess.
Absolutely, sir. So the information will automatically go into a database that's held within the device itself. And at the end of each shift, during morning changeover, that information actually goes into a database that we store into a dedicated laptop computer.
Okay, thank you.
Now, also to that end, this is also information that we can import into the EPCR, that's the electronic patient care report. Right now, we can do it with video, with still photo. Our vendor is working with us to be able to make that an import as far as exclusive values going within the overall profile of the report.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
I think it's outstanding. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds great. So it's the information's automatically transmitted when the individual is transported to a medical facility or something?
Yes, Mayor. So the way that our electronic patient care report system works is that as our paramedics in the field are getting ready to transport to the hospital, they're simply hitting send and it's going to the hospital choice. It just goes up into the cloud, then it goes down to the destination facility. This data that we collect using these EPOC devices will also be part of that patient care report that they receive.
That's great. Yeah, we really appreciate you always looking out for us and what the next best thing is for, you know, patient outcomes. And that's really the goal, to have the best patient outcome and, you know, as quickly as possible. So
Absolutely.
that's great. Well, thank you very much.
Our pleasure.
We have a public comment or question. You want to come on up? Yes, please come on. Go ahead.
Rick Greenwald, Tranquility Drive. I guess I have some comments with some questions built in. I'm not sure where we are with this, whether this is something we have adopted or something we're looking at adopting, or whether, I know it's something that Palm Beach Fire Rescue has adopted, and several other communities have as well. It kind of reminds me of the Theranos business some years ago, except this works, how you can get so many instant blood results available, or almost instant. And obviously information is key for good patient care, and that's what we want. And when we broke away from Delray, we promised everybody in the community that we would be the best and innovative and, you know, state of the art and all that. And this certainly sounds promising, but I do have questions and some concerns. I no longer claim to be a subject matter expert on all this stuff, but I think I know enough to ask some of the right questions that we should be asking before we just say great idea and embrace this. And I would encourage us, certainly before we get into it too deeply, to, you know, use the resources we have, maybe we have already, but certainly ask, you know, have Terry Cohen involved. He's our medical director who's been involved with emergency rooms and emergency room care, and also fire rescue care for many years, and is wise enough and experienced enough to help us decipher, to find gold nuggets when we fall across them, like this may well be, but also to know that all that glitters isn't necessarily gold. And again, I have a couple of questions in that regard. Is one, we want to be sure that any technique like this, we have a tremendous advantage in this town in that we're literally from the center of town, 15 minutes from Boca Hospital, and maybe 18 minutes from Delray Hospital. So we really don't want to be engaged in any procedures that could inadvertently or in an unintended fashion distract us from the primary mission of, you know, rescue, which everyone is well aware of, but, you know, monitoring pulses and blood pressures and supporting the circulatory system and getting IV access started and making sure that rhythms are appropriate, and getting oxygen saturations and make sure that airways are intact and all the routine stuff. We don't want this activity to be delaying any of the crucial activities that go along with it, particularly since we're talking about only a 15-minute transit time. It's not like some counties where it may take someone an hour or whatever to get to the nearest skilled facility. So that would be one potential concern. A second potential concern is some of the tests that EPOC does, and I don't know all the factual answers to this, but they're readily available. But some of these are what are called moderately advanced laboratory tests. And as far as I know, unless things have changed, and they may have, because again, I don't claim to be expert on all this anymore. But it used to be for laboratories, whatever they were, to do these kinds of tests, you had to have some CLIA certification, CLIA being a clinical lab agency of the federal government that requires a significant amount of administrative wherewithal in order to get approval and to maintain approval to do these tests. Because in addition to being potentially life-saving and helpful information, If they're done inappropriately or produce inaccurate results, that can obviously lead to a decrease in the quality of patient care. So to do these tests, you need to be properly educated, properly trained. That needs to be an ongoing process. You need to run controls to make sure that everything is working properly. And I think you need some kind of certifications. Now, whether we can piggyback on to the county or how that works, or how onerous that is in 2025, I don't know. But it used to be like a challenge to get CLIA approval. You needed a medical director who was skilled in laboratory. If you did enough tests, I don't think that EPOC requires this, but you needed actually a licensed pathologist. And it's not just, oh yeah, let's go buy these cards, drop a few drops of blood in and we're ready to go. It's not that simple. And it's something that at least we need to look at before we get involved. And then the other question that comes rapidly to mind is the finances involved with this. So if we are going to get involved with Siemens on this kind of project, we need to know who's paying for training, who's paying for ongoing training of personnel, because again, you can't just take anybody to do these tests. There's a certain amount of training that's involved. It's not the amount that a skilled laboratory tech needs, but there's some training that's involved. So we need to know that. And we also need to know about cost, not just the cost for the system and the cost for the supplies, because every time you use one of these cards that you do the tests on it, you need another card. But cost for education, ongoing education, certification, the bureaucracy, et cetera, et cetera. And then again, in a 15-minute ambulance ride, what is the relative benefit versus the risk that we accrue when we start doing these services? And then finally, who's paying for it? Is this something that the town is going to do as a value-added service because we like to be a first-class kind of a place? Is it something that insurance companies pick up? Is it something that the individual is going to be responsible for? How is all that going to work? I mean, if we have to get involved in billing and all that stuff, that's a whole other thing that we may or may not want to be involved with. So all I'm saying is when I first saw this, I said, wow, this is really neat technology. And I'm certainly not saying we shouldn't be involved with this. I'm just saying that before we do, there's a significant amount of due diligence that should be performed, and we should pursue it in the appropriate kind of a manner. So I know I took up a long time, and I hope that that's somewhat helpful. Thank you.
Chief.
Convenient beeper there.
Glenn Joe, the fire chief. Absolutely good questions. We've addressed all those. First of all, the medical director was involved and very excited about bringing this project to bear. He was part of the initial assessment, and our assistant medical director has pathology training, and he is going to be our medical director for that particular project. As far as CLIA certification, we are CLIA certified. We just received the licensing yesterday, and it requires continuing education training, but the training is going to be done by our instructors internally, so there's no external cost. What is the cost for each of the tests? The tests are, each card costs $12 for each test, and does the multitude of tests that we've outlined in the presentation. And what's the ongoing cost? Well, the ongoing cost is that the first year we are certified, we've already had the training in June, July. We have to do it again in 6 months, which we already planned on putting in our training schedule. And we have to repeat it again in 1 year. And after that, it's going to be annual. So, and again, the training is going to be done internally. So there's no external cost for that training. What is the cost going to be to the patient? There is an MIH initiative right now that's going to allow us to bill Medicare and the insurance companies for any costs we incur for providing that care. And so that's not going to be borne by the town, but by the patient and their insurance company. Okay, so the big thing is we're 12 minutes away. Why would you want to do that? So if you are a patient right now and you went to the hospital to get a lab result, it'll take you 2 hours sitting on the side of the wall. You'll come in, the nurse will take care of you, do an assessment, they'll put you in a room, call the doctor will come take care of you, take a look at you, then order the labs, then the lab technicians come down from the lab, then draw the labs, and then wait another hour for the results to come in. This lab results in 30 seconds. We turn the unit on, it takes 3 minutes to warm up. We put the card in, put a drop of blood in, 30 seconds later, we have a result. So why do it now and not do it at the hospital? Well, delay of care. Do we need to transport that patient? To answer that question, maybe they're dehydrated. We give them a liter of fluid, talk to their doctor as part of that continuum of care, and we could leave the patient home and then make them feel better, address the issue that at hand. We could identify using scientifically validated testing procedures, and then leave them at home if they need to be at home. So how about quality control, quality improvement? Quality control, we do quality controls every time we get a new card, at least monthly. And that's sent to an outside facility to check the results to make sure they're correct. So the unit is always being validated constantly every single month. So the problem of not having accurate results is, I wouldn't say eliminated, but minimized to the point where it's non-existent almost. And we track everything with paperwork. Like you said, there's a lot of paperwork involved. All the forms are in place, all to do it automatically. We are the first department in Palm Beach County to go live with this tomorrow. And we are the third department in the country to go live tomorrow. So when we came here, what you told us as the leaders of the department is you wanted to have the leading edge technology, the leading care for residents. We wanted to be at top of the line, cutting edge, tip of the spear. And unless you've changed that direction, I think this is the direction to go. Palm Beach County is one other thing that they're doing, which we're looking at, is blood giving in the field. For our population and for our number of calls, I don't think it's a viable option. Although next year there's the technology that will allow us to give plasma, which is about 90% as good, has a 2-year shelf life, and will not require all those need for blood and OPAs and all that stuff, your blood type. So that's a consideration. But again, this will be done under the direction of our medical director, which is very experienced, and both medical directors, and they are excited. And they're trying to get Boca Raton to take our lead and put that out in the field because they think it's such a good thing. We're also integrating that. I'm sorry, I'm running long, but we're integrating that technology with telemedicine. So we'll have a teledoc. So when I get a result, say, God forbid, I fell down, blah, 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 they came, took a look at me. They could actually call a doctor on the site, an ER physician, give him my vital signs, my assessment, physically have a video conference with him and give him my lab results, and he could make a more educated, informed judgment about whether or not I need to go to the hospital, I could stay home, or what the next step in that care is going to, in that continuum of care is going to be. So yeah, it is new, and with new, there's uncertainty. It is the only testing mechanism in the country that you could do at room temperature. Store in the truck, and it works. We've tested it several times. I drew my blood twice just to make sure that, it was not an onerous process. So yeah, we've thought about all the things that you've mentioned. We've assessed the risk, we've assessed the cost, we've assessed the benefit to the public, and I think it's a good thing. And we have to thank the foundation for funding the equipment. And then the ongoing costs, of course, will be managed internally.
That's a good question. To go with what Dr. Greenwald is saying, if you are responding, is the protocol to always do this? Or is it only when the condition of the patient warrants the test to be run? So if somebody's having a heart attack, you're not waiting, you're still continuing your process to move them. But during transport, you could do this to assist with the care at the hospital.
So if a patient that would get that assessment, okay, when you get to the scene, you turn the machine on, it takes 3 minutes to warm up. Okay, while you're doing that, you're doing the vital signs, the interviews. When you draw the blood to do an IV, you take a drop of blood from that, I think 6 cc, I'm not even, just a small drop of blood, put it on the card. While you're doing everything else, in 30 seconds, you get a result. So nothing's interrupted. The care is not interrupted, it's not delayed. It's just another part of the care, and we take one drop, put it in there, let that sit while we do other things. And when it's done, it beeps, prints up the results, and then you add it to the report. That would take you in the emergency room an hour, 2 hours. If you're not in cardiac arrest or in some kind of crazy critical medical, that would take 2 hours, and you have a bill for about $5,000, maybe 10, depending on which hospital you go to. So is it a cost benefit? Yeah. Is it new? Yes. Are there some uncertainties? Sure. But I think in a year or two, it's going to become second nature, and every department in the county is going to be doing it. We just happen to be ahead of the curve. Questions?
Yes, thank you for your comments. Should be on the foundation. We could have used you and some of your questions at that time. Similar questions came up at the foundation when we first were approached with this. Being lay people, best thing we could do was talk to the emergency doctors, both at Delray or at Boca Regional. The comment was pretty consistent. The more information we have, the better off the patient's going to be. I mean, that was so without going into all the medical discussions they were trying to educate us with. So we did ask that questions because we asked the same question about AEDs being used. And we wanted to understand, what is in the best interest of the resident to save that life. And it was a very, very positive response. The more information we have, the better off. And we basically took that information, and that's why we supported the entire movement.
Thank you very much to the foundation and all the work that you've done to raise the money for this. I'm very convinced, and thank you for raising all those issues, because I don't know that we would have had this discussion had you not raised those questions. But I'm convinced there's been no change in the direction. I totally agree that we want to be cutting edge concierge service for our residents. Yeah, very impressive that the costs were covered by the foundation, that each individual card is so inexpensive. I'm really pleased to hear that doesn't sound like there's any kind of delay. It's just part of the process, it sounds like. So I'm very much in favor of this, and thank you very much for bringing in. And I'm happy to hear that it was so thoroughly vetted. So.
And thank you, doctor.
Yeah.
Without your questions,
That's
I
right.
couldn't look this good.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Thank you.
Yes, a quick.
Did you? Oh, do we have another comment? Go ahead. Come on.
When I made my comments, I had no idea where this was in the process. So I am greatly reassured that all this work is that I suggested be done has already been done. And it sounds like it should be. And again, it's new, so there'll be some bumps, I'm sure. But it sounds like a significant advance, and that's a good thing. So all in favor, and thanks to the chief for doing all the work beforehand and the foundation for supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, excellent. Moving on to public comments. Any public comments? I don't think there's any reason to approve it, or there's no action to be taken. That was just a presentation, correct? Yeah, there's no action. No ordinances, consent agenda. There's just one item on the consent agenda. Anybody want to discuss it? If not, could we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the town commission minutes of the August 5th, 2025.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There's no unfinished business. Moving on to new business. Consideration to cancel the September 16 Town Commission meeting. I guess we don't
We're
have
just a
enough.
little light on agenda items, and we're a little heavy on budget, so our budget meetings will be a little bit lengthier than usual. I apologize those that will be here on Thursday. David's going to give a presentation, so the 3-minute meeting becomes 34 minutes. So,
Oh, really?
but it's a good update, and again, it just
I was just selling
he's
Jason on
not here
how
to laugh with us, but
I was just selling Jason on how quick that meeting was going to be.
just kind of memorializing those conversations we had on the budget, some of the smaller tweaks to reset. But he just wants to get that up, talk about capital too, because we're in a unique spot where some of the capital projects are delayed, which is going to affect how we process those through budget amendments. So just wanted to strike on those items.
And is that the only item on Thursday's agenda?
That and the 2 resolutions, which take about a minute
Okay.
to approve. He's just going to give an update. I told him to move it along. So
And you're talking about the September 4th, the one
September-
that this week on
this week,
Thursday.
Thursday, and then we
Okay.
come back on the 18th. And then we do the same things. We approve the budget, approve the resolutions, contract update. We've got, the ratification, and then we have a couple other small items that are relatively straightforward. Fee schedule, stuff like that.
Okay. Could we have a motion to cancel the September 16th?
Yeah, make a motion to cancel the 16th, September 16th meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to request for land filling approval for a portion of the property located at 2564 South Ocean Boulevard.
Good afternoon, Ingrid Allen, Town Planner. Just going to pull up the PowerPoint. Okay, so the item before you is a request for landfill approval for the property at 2564 South Ocean Boulevard. On on August 14th of this year, the planning board approved a special exception request for this property, which included the installation of a 105 linear foot seawall and seawall cap, a 275 square foot dock, and a 33-pound capacity boat lift. Can you not hear me? Right. Now, these three items again were approved by the planning board via the special exception request. The special exception approval was subject to the town commission's approval of the landfill. This is in compliance with chapter 14 of the code. So in your staff memorandum on page 10 of your packets, I've gone ahead and provided those regulations in chapter 14. If you take a look at that, you'll see that for landfill, and the commission has looked at a few landfill requests in the past. There's not too many of them, but when you look at that language, you see that a narrative is required, and the narrative has been provided by the applicant on page 12 of the packets, and a copy of the plan. So the 11 by 17 plans that are in your packet, those are the plans that were approved by the planning board, and it shows the landfill area, and I'll get to that in just a moment. I did want to go ahead and just show you some of the aerials that are also in your packet, and the photos of some of the existing conditions. And I'll go ahead and start that PowerPoint. There we go. All right, so here's the property in question. Here we're looking northward. You could see on the left side, and I'm sorry, Linnell, did you have the light thing? Okay. But anyways, on the left side of the screen, you see the pilings of an existing dock that was there. And then, a little bit north there, you'll see a mooring piling. Here's the same property. Again, this is a aerial from 2025 January. This is looking eastward. You could see again those dock pilings that currently exist. Now here's an aerial from 2020. You could see how the dock looked back then. And there's actually a boat lift there as well. And then you'll see two mooring piles in the waterway. And then this is the aerial from 2021. You could see that a portion of the dock on the south part is completely gone. So just those pilings that we saw earlier in the most recent aerials are there as well. Now, these are some of the photographs. These were taken in June 9th of 2025. Here we're looking northward. This is the existing riprap that's there. Riprap are those big rocks, right? The applicant is going to remove them. When you look at the plans, the existing site plan sheet and those 11 by 17 sheets, they do have a note that the riprap, the pilings, all that's going to be removed. Again, looking northward here in this picture, you could see some of those pilings in the water a little bit more clearly than the aerial pictures. Again, just looking northward with the pilings on the left. This is looking a bit more eastward. You could see a little bit more detail on the riprap. Again, another photo looking north. And this is a retaining wall, which is abutting the pool. On this photograph, you could see the pool a little bit better on the top right side. Here's the pool as well. You can see it on the top right. This is the side property line, and then this is the adjacent property owner. Now we're looking southward. So this is the seawall for the town of Highland Beach, the condo there. Now, in your, again, 11 by 17 packets on sheet 5 of 13, This is the seawall section. And in your 11 by 17 plans, you don't have the colors that I put here. I added the colors here just for clarity purposes, but just to get back to what is being proposed here. So the applicant is proposing 1,000 square feet of fill from the existing retaining wall, which is again along that pool, to the property line, the rear property line. You can see I labeled the rear property line there. So that's 1,000 square feet of fill. And then to the west of that is an additional 360 square feet of fill. That is, again, abutting the property line, moving westward. So the total request is for 1,360 square feet of fill. I did indicate in your staff report that the applicant did receive FDEP, that's the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, as well as the Army Corps of Engineer approval for this project, which includes the fill. The authorized agent for the project, Mr. Bill Thomas is here, and I'll be happy to address any questions that you may have.
Ingrid, I'm curious, more curiosity. At what point in the wall does the grade, how far up do they go as far as adding fill?
Yeah, on the sheet here, it's at 6.21 feet. I'm sorry, Linelda, you don't have the.
So that's out of 7 feet,
Yeah.
they're going to be up 6 feet?
Yeah, and then you could see on this particular section here, they have to step up because the seawall is at 7 feet. Initially, the approval that they got from Army Corps and FDEP showed the seawall at 6 feet
Yeah,
or 6.21. But our code requires that it be at base flood elevation, and the base flood elevation recently changed to 7 feet. So now they got to step up.
Right.
Yeah.
And the neighbors, any issues with the neighbors?
I've received no public comment from any of the neighbors.
They've been notified though, right?
Yes.
There's the regular
Right.
process of,
Not for the landfill permit doesn't require any type
Okay.
of advertising, but when this went before the planning board in August 14th, every property owner within 500 feet received a notice. That's a
Okay.
requirement of the code. We did not have any
Great.
public comment. Yeah, it would be attached to the staff.
I figured that. I thought
Yeah,
it'd be
it's
important to
you
ask.
could always put stuff out, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm in favor. I think it's a great idea. It's part of their property and I think it's a terrific idea. So I don't have any questions. I think it makes a lot of sense. Anybody else?
Yeah, no, I'd like to make a motion. Yeah. We make,
If everyone's in agreement, we can go ahead and make a motion.
to make a motion on the landfill request for 2564 South Ocean Boulevard. Is that good enough?
So motion to approve.
To approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Do you want a roll call? or-
Sure. Commissioner Peters,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stern,
Yes.
Commissioner Chinatsky,
Yes.
and Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for attending.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, there wasn't
Thank
much for
you.
you to say, but it's a great idea. It looks like a great project.
Yes.
Okay. Next item, resolution number 2025-021, a resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Highland Beach, Florida, authorizing the town manager to finalize and execute the recognition acknowledgement petition related to the Highland Beach Professional Firefighters Local Number 5504 Union, providing for conflicts and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mayor. I received this information via the fire chief from the membership, which I guess they had 27 of the 28 signatures to form this union. We spoke with the labor attorney. We wanted to make sure that the captains were okay being included in this group. They have been because it is a small enough group. And then basically, this is the first step in probably about 8 steps that the union has to go through to be formalized and ratified as a collective bargaining unit by the state. The first part is us just recognizing that they want to move forward and saying, we get it, you're going to move forward. We're here to participate and partner with you. But they still have a lot of other legwork. So the option, it does exist not to do anything, but I don't know what the purpose would be outside of to slow the process further, potentially aggravating membership of some sort. So they seem to be excited about it and want to move forward with creating their union. We knew that when we created this fire union that it wouldn't be too long before this occurred. So this is just the natural sequence of events. And basically I signed this form saying we acknowledge that they want to be collectively bargained as a group. They've got their local, they have an attorney, they have it all signed up. So all we do is you give me the okay to sign it and then they finish the process. So driver engineer Stearns is here. If you want to ask him any questions, he's on the leadership team with Daniel Rush also, another driver engineer with our team. They're kind of representing the group. Is that correct? Right. So they're representing the group kind of moving through this process.
Any comments, anyone?
My only question would be, where are the benefits right now? I mean, just my own education.
Well, I think in the immediacy, there probably isn't a lot for them to organize, but what we have to, it's hard for me as well, is we have to step away that what if I'm not here? What if you're not here? That's usually the benefit of a collective bargaining group, that if it does become difficult relationship with the manager or with the commission, the union has some representation of themselves and their interests moving forward. And you could read in the newspaper where it doesn't go so well. So right now, but I guess they're just planning for the future. So I'm glad they have the long vision for needing this. The immediacy, I'm not sure there's a lot there. There's probably some language they want as it relates to grievances and things of those type of protocols. I know a few other things. We'll get into those later when we start the collective bargaining process. But otherwise, great group of guys and gals over there. They're ready to form the union. They seem very cooperative. I was cooperative, I think, pretty well. Yeah. So, so we're all moving in the right direction. So for now, Chief Hartman. You know how I am when it comes to bargaining. So it's kumbaya at the moment. We'll get through it. And, again, working with the commission and through our financial positioning and stuff. So it's good. Everyone's going to get along and we'll get through this process.
My turn?
Yes.
It's a good thing. I know I'm a PBA member for, 20 years. I'm still an indirect associate member. This is a good thing to have. And I'm glad you guys are organizing, and Marshall will have to deal with you all the time. My only question is, so the only two people that aren't is the chief and Matt aren't involved in the union?
The three.
So
Four.
Okay.
Sylvia will be with the general membership, which the regular general non-represented employees, and then the three chiefs are not in the group.
Thank you. It's good.
We expected this to happen. As soon as we were talking about having our own fire rescue department,
They
we
were,
knew.
Not our group because they weren't together yet.
Right,
Our
right.
awesome team wasn't
Right.
here yet. But the county was quick to remind me and Chief Joseph on a regular basis that this would become a union shop. So, it's the firefighters, paramedic group throughout the country, I would even
Yeah,
say.
this
They
is-
say pretty
yeah.
good. They're all organized. Maybe some rural places where it's mostly volunteers, maybe not. But any professional department where you have full-time, it's pretty much.
In South Florida,
South Florida, you could
they're,
go to Washington, California, but you could go to even in Texas and places like that. Everyone's unionized.
right.
Mhm.
So it was to be expected. I don't
Yep.
think this was any kind of surprise. And our expectation is that it will be a positive relationship. I
Mhm.
don't see why it wouldn't be. You guys do a fantastic job and we are thrilled to have you. So I expect this to be a good relationship going forward. So, and we really appreciate the value that you bring to our community. So, I have no issue with it, and I expect it will be positive going forward. So if we could have a motion to approve the resolution.
I make a motion to approve 2025-021 acknowledgement of Highland Beach Professional Firefighters Local 5504 Union.
Second that.
Commissioner Peters,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stern,
Yes.
Commissioner Janowski,
Yes.
and Mayor Moore.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you very much. Moving on
A
to,
new union.
yeah. I guess they've got work to do, right? They still have a good amount of work to do. Moving on to town commission comments, Commissioner Chudnovsky.
I think that the general theme of safety, health, and financial security is surely getting out to our community. Marshall, I appreciate you driving that, and the mayor. And it's something that I think the community is going to support for many years to come.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks, the firemen and policemen of the town there, and I'm glad the new union there, they help you out. Thank you.
I echo those comments and thank you all.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, the accreditation for the police department with such a excellent result, having an independent peer review, give such glowing results for our police department, and the EPOC system sounds like that's really going to help our community. So I'm very proud of our public safety, and you're everything we ever wished for and more. So thank you very much. Moving on to town attorney, any comments?
Yes, Mayor, briefly. So at the last commission meeting, we had a lot of discussion about the temporary sign regulations, and the commission provided direction. Unfortunately, upon further research / reflection, we talked about, when I did the legislative update, Senate Bill 180, that prohibits all local governments in Florida, essentially, from adopting more restrictive or burdensome land development regulations or comprehensive plan amendments. The definition of land development regulation includes sign regulations. So notwithstanding that we have a separate chapter, sign code, and then we have our zoning regulations. Our hands are tied by Tallahassee. We can't make them any more restrictive. And that's in place till October 1, 2027.
So those towns that currently have more.
Those were done before.
Oh, so it's like a grandfather.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah. So
Oh.
essentially what they did with Senate Bill 180, it's retro back to August of 2024. So if you adopted anything from August 2024 through now, that was more burdensome restrictive, it's null and void. And now we're prohibited from proposing or adopting anything that's more burdensome or restrictive until 2027.
So it's moot. There's
So it's
nothing-
moot because we can't reduce the number, we can't reduce the size. But, you know, we'll keep it on the radar.
Right, right.
So hopefully, when 2020, we had this once before with Senate Bill 250, and then they rolled it back a bit, realizing that maybe they shouldn't have included all the counties that didn't really have hurricane damage in the last cycle. So hopefully, maybe if it's rolled back in the next session, we can move forward, but at this time, it's sort of on hold.
So Marshall, can you get back to the individuals who?
Yeah, we'll get back to individual groups. I'll also put out a notice, push notice in all our general communications that while we have commission support, the commission desired moving in that direction, we can't even propose it really
Right.
per se
Can't
at this
propose it.
point. So we can't take any formal action without potential penalty from the state. So from an administrative, I'll just circle back, add it to the strategic plan, wait for that 180 October 2027 date. Len has told me some local communities have taken the fight to Tallahassee on that bill.
Yes, there's actually a loss. So that's another factor. The Weiss Serrata law firm down in they're down in Miami and Broward. They are filing a lawsuit challenging 180, saying it's taking away local zoning authority and a bunch of other grounds as well. So if that moves in a positive direction, they're looking to get an injunction. So if that happens, we can proceed, but I'll let the commission know if there's any movement on that front as well.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds good.
If I may, I think we also have to have clarification of what our regulations are before that date so that we can enforce whatever those regulations are.
We're basically stuck with what we have now, for now, until we have an opportunity to change it.
Thank you very much for that update. Town manager.
I guess I'll piggyback off the 180 into a lot of the stuff you're hearing regarding property taxes. It's going to be, the energy is going to build the blue ribbon team, and that the Speaker of the House, Speaker Perez, put together to talk about property taxes. They're going to start meeting in September and coming to conclusions before session to propose what type of amendments or changes to the Constitution. I'm guessing it'll have enough energy for something, whether it's a modification of the homestead amounts, complete elimination on homestead properties. All of these things have significant impact on us providing our services. And as we know, 80% is police and fire. So that really puts a strain on us. But with that, the Florida League of Cities put out some stuff. I'll share that with you, some communication items to educate the public what it is. I don't think it's an issue we have. We have a pretty good relationship right now with our residents to know that, what we do has been asked for and needed. And we have low taxes versus other towns that have high taxes. So there's a lot of debate and discussion that's going to be occurring over the next 3 to 4 months. And I think 180 kind of started setting the foundation of don't be more restrictive. We kind of want to put the squeeze on local government, which seems to be a running theme, I would say, with the local legislators. That preemptive action is over and over, and it's getting deeper and deeper on every issue you could think of. I guess until something breaks. What that is, I don't know. Again, that's it's probably going to make something's going to make the ballot in 26. But again, it takes 60%. So it's got to have a lot of support to move through. But I'll share those communication pieces. Some of the other videos they have, will kind of get it folded into our website and get those things out there just so the public can kind of start hearing the value. As we all know and believe, local government provides the greatest value for your tax dollar. It's where the rubber meets the road. It's your closest contact. You'd be surprised how many people come in and talk about federal stuff, residents, well beyond our control, or state or county, because we're available in here. And that's where the real value in local government is. So we'll see where the journey takes us, but it's interesting. Speaking about the state, this is my segue into AppDOT. That's an interesting one. We've been communicating, I think, pretty well. So I've been receiving some positive feedback from residents for keeping them informed of everything that's going on this project. As of late, after that, there was 2 weekends ago where we had that flooding. A lot of the FDOT team is, be patient. I don't know how patient we can be at some point in time. So the completion date's moving to later October, maybe even into November. FDOT and the contractor are starting to pick up the rhetoric towards each other. There's a lot of work out there and a lot of concern we have where maybe the road is okay, but the right of way is going to be taking a brunt of the runoff and flooding more often, or standing water on the bike path. So there's a lot out there. We're working with them and, informing or directing them of their commitments that they made to the town and our expectations for them to honor those commitments. We'll see how far that goes. We met with 9 of them last week. I don't feel any warmer and fuzzier, just that there's a little bit more work, but I don't know at the end of the day how this all comes together. But it's delaying it, which is hitting our sanitary sewer project. So we're working with our contractor on our side as to how far can they delay before they start their work. And when AppDOT will let us into it. I think they're going to jam us up pretty hard because the last 3 weeks will be right-of-way restoration. And they're probably not going to let us go into right-of-way while they're putting down sod and we're setting up camp on structure. So the story is still to unfold. We're really concerned of where it goes and what happens next. Again, I just want everyone to know, and we'll continue to communicate. We're working to ensure those, again, commitments are honored and our interests are protected. So we're working on that. They're hearing us. I don't think they like us pushing back, but nonetheless, we're having those conversations, and I'm preparing because some of those conversations have elevated to the representative's office. So Peggy's contacting us, what's going on, getting a little better insight. So I think we're going to slowly move this up the food chain for a better response if they don't honor those commitments. So
Is that basically the other action we can take, is just to escalate it to the representatives?
well, they're changing. Now they're change set 6, so they're changing it. So people, again, for FDOT's watching, I generally apologize, but the folks designing in Fort Lauderdale on CAD aren't seeing what's happening in the field in Highland Beach. And their construction engineers aren't employees, they're contractors. So there's a disconnect. So we get the design engineers, they roll out the plans and say, oh, we still have work to do, not realizing the context in which their decisions are being made. So And the construction engineers are saying, well, I'm kind of telling them these things that we got to watch out for. And now the contractor's getting upset because I think they're going to start getting hit with liquidated damages for the delay. So that's going to create the energy between those two, be friction. So communications chance to break down. So that's why, you know, keeping Peggy potentially informed and in the background at the moment will help, you know, smooth those waters or bring the district secretary into the conversation.
You know, my concern is the uninformed and disillusioned that are going to come down in the next 45 days. People left here when construction was starting, and even the questions that we're getting by the residents now is, you know, what did they do? A lot of people just don't understand how much work has been accomplished to get to where we are. And I'm not sure if it's going to come out with the press, but I had a gentleman ask me, you know, when are they putting in the French drains? Totally uninformed on the process that took place. You know, is there another layer going in the road? So the communication to the 4,000 plus residents right now, plus the people who are going to be coming down in the middle of October, that's going to be concerning because I can see the types of questions we're going to entertain as people are coming down.
Well, hopefully it's done before they get here, but you know, I'm not, that's very wishful thinking. And I don't know that we'll be there because they're still working. They're still digging in Delray. They still have to come all the way to the south end of town, turn around, then hit the east side and go all the way up. And their messaging is off. Like they tell us one thing and then 2 weeks later, they tell us something different. That's where the confusion is, where we jump in and try to, again, make sure they're honoring their commitments, that what you said you're going to do, and not make changes on the fly, which they seem to be doing. Unfortunately, it's disconnected the context. It looks great on CAD. You come out and you see what it looks like, and that's the disconnect. So we'll be a little bit patient, but I just want everyone to know that we're working and communicating with them on a regular basis, holding their feet to the fire and keeping residents informed. Again, the residents gave us pretty good feedback. Not happy, but they're pleased that we're communicating more. So maybe the app is what we hoped it could do, is communicate quicker with residents, and they're getting that or reading the emails, because I'm hearing from folks I haven't heard from. Can't believe one of the residents, she kept notes from the original meeting, and she said, why don't you show them the notes I took from the meeting that said exactly all these commitments? And I graciously shared those along. So just so they know that that's not just us watching, the residents are watching. So hopefully all those things will clean up. But I forgot her name, so if you're watching, I'm sorry. And but you know, residents have been receptive. Good that we're communicating, keeping in the loop, and so I'm excited that's working.
So what does the sewer lining contractor say? Like they'll move, will they?
He seems really good.
Okay.
Instituform. If I said it wrong, you guys can remind me. It's some weird name. I think I got to work on that. But they're an international company. They're big presence out of Miami-Dade. Do a lot of work here in Palm Beach County. Seem flexible, but you know, when we signed the contract, the completion date was in July. Then it moved a little bit into August. Then it hit September, and they were saying, "Okay, we can work with the September date." Now, if you're pushing it all the way into November, the one thing I'm concerned is if that, and you know, can they finish on this deadline now? Right, it's their fourth deadline change. So that could be pushed further. You don't really want high season being here and doing sewer lining. More apt to have problems with bypass pumping at the condos, where I'm going to have a higher flow and volume to have to manage. Again, it's trenchless technology. We're not making a mess. I mean, the contractor said, yes, I'll screw up some sod, but we'll replace it. But it's not like we're digging up the right of way, but we're going to be setting up camp. But when we start bypassing with high flows, that could be a little bit difficult. So he may want to start and stop. We're talking that too, like maybe to go into Bellito and the side streets now, which are totally clear. But he did indicate that he would like to continue after doing the side streets, which take about a month, and then coordinating that to hit A1A. So he's going to have to look at his contract. We're waiting for him because he's still going to have to get an MOT from FDOT approval to be in the right of way on the A1A, not the side streets. We issue that, but so we're kind of in that waiting period. I'll keep you informed as soon as we hear from Frank on what he can do with his contract with the sewer lining. Then we'll just queue it up from there.
Well, at least it sounds like everyone's aware of what's going on, right? The communication's open and flowing.
I mean, I got a lot of projects waiting, right? 'Cause
Right.
I keep on saying, as soon as I talked about it, so maybe I Murphy's Law on myself and said, capital projects, kind of their schedules constantly move and pressure between projects. Here we are, we're going to be bidding out the Bolito Bridge. Maybe they'll all come at the same time. And then everyone's gonna be upset that we're working on everything all at the same time. But, we're proceeding, but it's a lot of changes, starts and stops, which is very frustrating.
Anything else? Is that?
Nope, that's
I have a question. I was under the impression that we were going to get an update on the compliance of the fire department with the violations and where we stood and how many are complete, not complete.
I think we're moving pretty well, but I could get that queued up for our next meeting to have Matt come in and talk about all the fire inspections. I will give you a prelude to a smaller KISS as it relates to our budget. False alarms are driving me crazy. As much as it's driving them crazy, it's driving me crazy. So we're changing the fee structure. We have some condos that are hitting 12 false alarms. I mean, like, we're constantly deploying all our resources. So we're making the life safety is going well. The fire alarms are a little bit messy still. So we're hopefully we can get folks to start working on their fire alarms. That frees up a lot of our time when we constantly get false alarms.
Definitely.
We're running all those calls. And I'll send out Chief's report here. And again, just take a moment and go to the unintentional false alarms. The numbers are really climbing, and we're spending a lot, too much time.
Right.
Every now and again to get a false alarm is good, but when it starts
Right.
where we're getting a condo with a dozen of them and it's repeat offenders, like, we got to fix those type of situations. But we're doing well. All that initial pushback that we Chief told me to anticipate, I think we've gotten through that first wave, and everybody's come into compliance with the health safety stuff, and he's coming up to tell me more.
Because you asked. So I don't have any specific numbers for you, Vice Mayor, but I know that about 8 to 10 buildings are fully compliant. We haven't actually given them the award yet. We haven't given one out. We try to do those once every meeting just to keep it moving, because we're kind of falling behind now. We have a few issues with the concrete restoration. There are some issues we're addressing there, but for the most part, generally speaking, most of the buildings are getting to a place where they're safer than they were before. I know Seagate's putting some major work on their infrastructure, and that's going to be pretty significant, replacing some of the water lines, digging up the driveway and putting additional hydrants and that. So that's a huge, huge project. And on the south end, we have some projects also, just water supply again. We're working with Pat Roman on that. But for the most part, the stuff the long lists that we have in there getting smaller and smaller every month. So we're making good progress. I'm comfortable with the progress. I'm happy where we are. I didn't think we were going to be this far this soon. So we're making good progress, but we're not there yet. We're not 100%. We're getting much better. I could get some specific numbers for you, either in an email report to everybody or with a presentation by Matt the next meeting.
Could you comment? I had heard that there was an issue that the backup generators were not on any elevators in a given condo, and therefore people were stuck in the elevators and needed to be helped out.
So in transparency, we had our first mutual aid call with the city of Boca Raton 2 weeks ago. We had that big storm where the power line broke, and we had a unit condo that didn't have their generator, the elevator on the generated. They thought FPL, according to the engineer, was reliable power supply, and so it was not required. So we had people stuck, and we had like 3 or 4 calls almost simultaneously because they all happened at once. So we ended up having to call Boca Raton to assist somebody out of an elevator. It was our first call in a year, almost 2 years now. So we did pretty good. But it was a minor call of no consequence. It was basically just a matter of safety and emotional support rather than it was a major event, which is a good thing. We are going through right now and encouraging our condos associations to put their elevators on generator and having the switch them back and forth. And it's not as easy as saying, just do it. Coronado is going through that right now where there's a lot of infrastructure that has to be upgrades and switches and making sure that the power supply from FPL is adequate. So yeah, there's a lot more to that. But again, the attitudes have changed. They're positive. They're making progress. They're not as resistant as saying this is ridiculous, blah, 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 blah. They're seeing the light, and we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So all good things, all progressive things, and I'm very happy with where we are.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Just to remind you, one last thing, for all residents, just check your yard. Things break from time to time. We're getting a lot of, billing problems where people's have irrigation leaks and stuff like that. Check your irrigation systems every now and again, or have your contractor do it. But we're having a lot of, breaks. Again, we're on a 2-month cycle, right? So we don't catch it for 2 months. So it could be pretty exceptional when you find a leak and you're not knowing what's going on. So just word to the wise, just check your systems, make sure everything's there. You don't have spongy spots in your yard when you shouldn't. Just check, make sure things are going well. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to announcements. We have one vacancy on the Code Enforcement Board for a 3-year term. Upcoming meetings and events, September 4th, in a couple days at 5:01 PM, we have the Town Commission first public hearing budget meeting. The September 16th, we just discussed, is canceled. After that, we have on September 18th at 5:01, the next Town Commission second public hearing budget meeting. So yeah, note the time. So on the 18th, that's at 5. I'll have to remember that because we usually have 1:30. And there are no board action reports. And so with that, we can adjourn. Thank you very much, everyone.